Hello, I'm Lisa Hohlbein, Curriculum Development Specialist for AANAC. Let's review some interview techniques so that you can gather quality and accurate information from resident interviews. Obtaining the most accurate information possible for your residents is so important, primarily because doing so allows staff to provide the best possible care. It's also critically important to have accurate data for the MDS. First and foremost, follow the interview scripts exactly as they are provided on the item set. The scripts are designed so that MDS coordinators across the country are gathering the same information, which is then entered onto the MDS. Today, we're going to talk about 4 interview techniques that you may find helpful. The first is disentangling. It's an interviewing technique that refers to separating items with several parts into manageable pieces. Many of the interview items contain more than one question in them. The type of questions that lend themselves to this type of approach are those that include a list or phrases such as and or the word or. In this way, a resident can respond to each piece separately. If a resident responds positively to more than one component, then you need to obtain a frequency rating for each positive response and score that item using the frequency of the component that occurred the most often. For example, if an item asks, "In the past 2 weeks, have you been bothered by a poor appetite or overeating?" The interviewer can disentangle this item by asking, "In the past 2 weeks, have you been bothered by a poor appetite?" And then pause for a response, and then ask, "In the past 2 weeks, have you been bothered by overeating?" If neither response is rated positively by the resident, mark no. If either or both are rated positively, then mark yes. This is a great technique for interviewable residents who have some cognitive impairment. The next interviewing technique is unfolding and refers to using a general question about a symptom, followed by a sequence of more specific questions if the symptom is reported as present. This helps the resident walk through the steps needed to think through a question. For example, you can read an item or a part of the item to the resident and then ask, "Do you have this symptom at all?" If yes, then you can ask a series of unfolding questions such as, "Do you have it every day?" If the resident answered no to the follow-up question, then ask, "Did you have it at least half of the days in the past 2 weeks?" The next interviewing technique is echoing, and it means simply restating part of the resident's response. This is often helpful during clinical interviews. If the resident provides a related response but does not use the provided response scale or fails to directly answer the question, then you can help clarify the best response by repeating the resident's comment and then asking the related response options again. This approach frequently helps the resident clarify which response option he or she prefers. The final interviewing approach is probing. In this approach, the interviewer asks clarifying questions in order to build greater understanding. For example, "What do you mean?" "Tell me what you have in mind." "Can you tell me more about that?" Or "Give me an example." If the resident voices that the facility's food doesn't taste good, the interviewer could then ask, "Can you tell me more about your experience with the meal options? Do you find that you ever have a poor appetite or eat too much?" By using these interviewing techniques, you will be well on your way to gathering quality, accurate information about your residents so that the facility staff can provide the best possible care and so that you can report meaningful and accurate data in the MDS. There's an added bonus to becoming confident using these interview techniques. You can use them to better communicate with your coworkers, with your spouse, with your parents, with your children, and with your grandchildren.